If everyone could please join the meeting.
And we're back.
You ready?
We are.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Patchogue Village Board meeting of June 22nd, 2020. And if you please stand for the flag salute, and I'm going to tell her right now that she is now doing the flag salute.
Oh,
Yay.
Led by Deputy Village Clerk Valerie Burrell.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Which is
one
one nation, under God.
Under God, indivisible,
Liberty.
justice for all.
Okay, just a reminder, everybody look around, look for a window or a door to run out of in case there's an emergency. Jack, don't forget your kids on the way out the door. Joe, keys, I know there's a beer in the refrigerator for you to grab on the way out the door. Egan, you know that bottle of scotch you got sitting there? That's yours. Sal, I don't know if your girlfriend's still there, but don't leave her there. And Lori, a bottle of Chianti for me, okay? And Susie, you're the last one out because you're gonna tell us which way to go.
There, you got it.
That's it.
Sounds good.
Okay, introducing tonight, Valerie Burrell, who's a deputy village clerk, will be taking Patty Seal's position for the short term, maybe the long term. That's still to be determined. But she'll be the face on TV, and I'm going to, there she be,
Here I am.
and she'll be handling the clerk's duties for the foreseeable future. Welcome to the days.
Well, thank you.
And you're up first.
All right. Well, thank you for that warm welcome. It is an honor to work with you, Mr. Mayor, and our fellow trustees. Mr. Egan, always a pleasure. Of course, Mr. Crossick over there. With that being said, I would like to request approval for the board meeting minutes of June 8th, 2020.
A motion to accept as presented.
Motion.
Any
Second.
changes, deletions, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Mr. Krozik, on the other side of the table.
Here I am. How's everybody doing?
He looks like a bandit over there.
How are you?
See you find him yet? There he is.
There he is. Okay, our bills total, 1,892,607.52. A lot of money. 5 largest bills. First one was Agio for a sewer reconnection, $949,479.12. But we have the money, so not to worry. Patchogue ambulance contract, $255,000. The Lero Group for engineering for Oak Street, $132,86.40. Russell Reed for sludge removal, $47,000 to $1860. And Tanner Brookhaven for landfill fees, $41,793.03. They total $1,425,577.90. If I could have approval.
Motion to approve is presented. Any questions, additions, deletions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
That's all I got.
Ronnie, Mr. Krozik, Mr. Treasurer,
Thank you.
where are we gonna, all this money pay for all this additional garbage?
Oh, we're gonna get,
We're up about $10,000 a month now.
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, I think what's happened is that all these kids that were throwing their garbage away at school, now we're throwing their garbage away at home.
And everybody's cleaning out their houses.
Yeah. Okay, we have one public hearing.
Yes, we do. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held on Monday, June 22nd, 2020 at 6 p.m. by video conference by the Village Board of Trustees of the Incorporated Village of Patchogue to amend sections 435-42 and 435-43 of the Village Code to prohibit certain neon and neon-like signage, a copy of which proposed local law is on file at the office of the village clerk. Members of the public may view the public hearing live on the village's YouTube channel. Members of the public may participate in the live meeting to ask questions by registering as an attendee for the Zoom webinar. Please visit www.patchoguevillage.org for the specific directions. Minutes of the meeting will be posted on the village website after the meeting.
Thank you very much. Mr. Egan, you want to just go over the parameters of that, please?
Absolutely. Yes, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Congratulations, Deputy Clerk Braille. We look forward to working with you. And that was an excellent reading of your first notice of public hearing. So put that one into the books. And you, congratulations. One of many. This was a request from the building department to add in a clarification on neon and neon-like signs. Neon was very popular at the time and has always been banned in the village of Patchogue as a frame. And as technology's advanced and light bulbs, probably faster than anything else, going towards LED and such, neon has fallen away, but the neon appearance remains. And the village board of, the village building department and the plan department and the ARB expressed some concerns that while the board's intention to prohibit neon signs should be expanded to say neon-like, being that these new technologies are simulating what should be prohibited. So the proposal tonight is to add a definition, neon-like sign, that says any sign or display of lighting or decoration that uses glass, plastic, or other tubing, or lighted raceways containing LED or LCD components that imitate the look of neon or fluorescent signs would be prohibited, with the exception of open and closed signs. Any other neon or neon-like signs are prohibited. We continue to allow advertising of alcoholic beverages in neon and neon-like signs in a very limited way, that they cannot be within 4 feet of an exterior window and they cannot be visible from the outside.
Okay. Trustee Devlin, any comment on that?
No, I think Brian covered it well. I think, the spirit of what the ARB has always tried to accomplish in the village is to prevent that kind of honky-tonk look. And it's not really against specific signage that might have an element of lighting, but what you find is these things that they put around the edge of the window, I forget what they're called, and flashing. There's just, it can get out of control. So I think the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish is to incorporate everything new that looks like neon looks. So it's just really, the look and trying to preserve a certain image in the village that the ARB has always worked toward. So I encourage everybody to vote yes.
I have a question. Is this just in the downtown or is this throughout the entire village?
It is throughout the entire village.
What about existing signs?
There shouldn't be any existing signs that would be grandfathered in, but any signs that exist now that may fit within the parameters that are not now outlawed would be permitted. So it's not retroactive.
Isn't there a sign on the side of New Village on North Ocean Avenue that's a neon-like sign?
No, that comes under a different, that's more like a screen. It has the changing.
Okay.
Having spoken to ARB members, I think they're more those borders that go around the windows and flashing signs that hang in the windows. It's probably the biggest concern trying to avoid.
Okay.
Any other comment by the board? Sue, do you have any questions that were sent in or anybody registered?
Bear with me one moment. I am checking now. We are having technical difficulties on YouTube, so I just want to make that aware to everyone that I have posted that they can join us as an attendee. I did post that information in YouTube itself. So I do not see anyone currently in as an attendee who wishes to speak.
Okay. Any other comments by the board? A motion to accept as presented and written? All in favor?
Aye.
Do I get a second out of that? Lori?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Request approval by resolution to implement Governor Cuomo's Executive Order 202-36 to extend the interest-free period for payment of property taxes to July 21st, 2020. Currently, the taxes are due by the 30th of June, and the interest period starts traditionally on July 1st. It is now being extended because of coronavirus to like 21 days till the 21st. Motion,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Mr. Smith, are you on? Is
He
Dennis
is
on?
on. Just allow me to promote him to panelist, please. He's coming in now.
Dennis. Mr.
Susan,
Smith.
thank you. It's good to be, promoted. And I too want to congratulate and welcome Valerie on her first official board meeting as a deputy village clerk. Just a few things, very brief tonight. On the bid side of things, we had the annual meeting held via Zoom on June the 9th. Although we had a very successful meeting, we were looking for but did not garner any additional participation from our constituency as we had hoped. So I think maybe we'll run out with the same format next year, and hopefully we'll get a little more participation. At the bid monthly meeting, which was also held via Zoom on June 9th, the bid board appropriated $10,000 to be set aside out of the unreserved surplus line of the BID budget to help facilitate the reopening of our village as regulations and phased reopenings permit. Now, this money could be utilized as promotional ad materials in some capacity, or it could even be put toward general safety initiatives. But the board did appropriate the money. We would wait for the chamber or the village to request such assistance. And of course, the final approval would be coming from the bid board of directors. Switching over to summer items, we have all the planters and the Waverly Circle. We completed the planting on all of those this past week. And that pretty much finalizes the start of our summer planting programs. We're waiting for DPW to finish the preliminary maintenance with the Terry Street lot. And at that time, the bid will assume responsibility for all summer garden maintenance going forward. With July 4th coming, we're aggressively trying to order some new flags for Main Street in the downtown business area, and hopefully have them here in time for Saturday the 4th. Morgan has them. We just have to work out with Joe and DPW as to whether we have the poles available to restring a couple of dozen new flags on. So hopefully we can make that happen and get them up there in time. The Sunday market resumed on June the 14th. We had imposing in place all COVID-19 guidelines that were recommended by the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. We had 5 vendors on that first Sunday. We had good customer traffic, so it was very encouraging. Yesterday, we increased that to 9 vendors, and the traffic remained fairly strong. Next Sunday, we get our big produce vendor, which is Mays Farms, back. And at that time, we're also allowed to put non-foods vendors back in the market. So hopefully this Sunday, we should have about 15 vendors participating. And all in all, I'd say we're off to a pretty good start. On the village special project side, First Responders Park, we're in the process of trying to get the fire department to sign off and approve the final proofs for the plaques. Once that happens, they can be sent out for production, which usually takes 4 to 6 weeks. Decorative fencing, as I think I previously mentioned, that's been installed, and we're hoping to dedicate and open this park by late August, and hopefully that will remain on track, because we've been, putting this park together for probably a little bit over a year now, so it's time. As far as Shorefront Park, there's still negotiations with the village as to where the jurisdictional line will be if the bulkheading were replaced by a living shoreline. Now, hopefully that'll be resolved in the very near future so that work can begin on this park by the end of the summer or at the very latest, the early fall. If the village decides not to install a living shoreline, then the alternative plan would be to repair the existing bulkhead, install a promenade boardwalk right behind the bulkheading, and of course, within view of the bay. With that, they'd have other amenities, or we would have other amenities that were going to be placed, such as benches on the boardwalk and throughout the park, and would enhance the walking paths and some of the other amenities that exist in the park now. So basically, in a nutshell, that's all I have. And unless there's any questions for me.
Thank you, Dennis. You know, you mentioned that word, summer. Well, no tie, no fall. So
I hear you. I hear you.
actually, no socks either, but that's,
It's,
no
well,
socks.
I still have mine on, so.
That's it. So I welcome everybody to the first Monday of summer. Mr. Kennedy, are you with us?
Thanks, Dennis.
Good evening,
David
everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to give a report from the Chamber of Commerce. First, let's start and just say that we're highly anticipating Wednesday with the anticipated start of phase 3 of openings, which means restaurants could even offer indoor service up to 50%. And I just, I think all of us now have probably had an opportunity to walk around town over the last couple of weeks, and I think we all agree it's very heartening to see some activity and action happening in Patchogue. The village, which just wanted to commend you, really being ahead of the curve and being so ready to have the outdoor dining going immediately when it started. It looks great, and you've been very creative in allowing sidewalk space and public space for it, and it's very much appreciated. And it's really great to see how many people are taking advantage of that. So now as we move forward, as we know, we've been discussing the idea of Main Street dining and actually closing Main Street on a weekly basis. I apologize about that, guys. I'm on another Zoom call. So what we've kind of come together with is that on Sunday, starting this Sunday, that we would use Sundays as the day for weekly outdoor dining. The idea would be the dining itself would take place from 12 to 7. First reservation being 12, last reservation being 7 o'clock. We would leave all the north-south arteries open. So Ocean Avenue, Waverly Avenue would all remain open. So that, I guess we really need a board approval. I don't think we've ever officially got the approval from the village board too for that Main Street closure. I don't know if you want to put a time frame on it. I don't know how long we're going to want to allow this to happen, but I would think at least through the summer season would be very helpful to these restaurants. There's no, or at least till we know there's 100% capacity for them on inside. Certainly there's going to be that need. But I would like the board at least make a motion for until Labor Day, if the board so is inclined, to allow East Main Street to be closed from Maple Avenue to Ocean Avenue, and West Main Street to be closed from Ocean Avenue to West Avenue, from the hours of 11 to 8. Allow for time to get things set up and allow for things to be break down. It is reservation only. That all the restaurants know that all the tables have to be reservation only. We don't want to attract the crowd. That's hopefully the village board will support that. I don't know if you want to do that later in the meeting or today, but certainly if anybody has any questions just on the outdoor dining, I got to give a lot of credit to Peter Sarich. He's been working full bore on this for the last few weeks. Very happy you're keeping him along, even though he's officially retiring soon, because he's been tremendous help and been tremendously very engaged with all the restaurant owners as we've been trying to work this out. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on this.
David, Ocean Avenue stays open?
Correct. Yeah.
Ocean Avenue stays open?
Yep.
You unmute yourself, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I fully support doing this. I just think we need to have some signage, telling people that you got to wear a mask to walk in, and obviously you can take it off to eat, but if you go to the bathroom, you should put it back on again or something like that. Something to just reinforce that it's that we're living in an environment that has viruses in it. But I don't think we should anything that we can do to stimulate the economy of our village, I think is a good idea.
Any other questions for David?
I would just give just one, is just a, Mr. Mayor, just a public word of caution, just that this is not a live after 5 substitute.
Yes,
And then we have to be very careful that this is reservation only. There cannot be any congregating, cannot be any gatherings, and it's just more of a public service announcement, just to, that's not what this concept is. This concept is seated waitress service only.
You know, judging by the email that Lori put out regarding Saturday night, I think we better take what Brian just said really seriously, because
Yeah.
you know the pent up demand is people are going to come. You know.
Yeah, we can't have people getting a takeout drink and then just hanging out in the street drinking, and like,
So
it'll be
takeout should be canceled,
control.
David.
Yeah.
you have certain,
Should takeout be canceled during this time frame?
You know, we could offer that suggestion. I mean, that hasn't come up. I don't see why not, but I don't want to speak for the individual owners without talking to them first.
Yeah,
you have certain places like barbecues that does a tremendous takeout business. He would probably get hurt more by losing his takeout business. So I think you really have to talk internally, David, within a restaurant committee.
So there should
how
be
they
a
wanna-
takeout location, you know, for each restaurant.
you know, somehow there's got to be a control on the takeout drinking during the time period, or any time period, because the idea is to take it, not to hang out in front of these establishments. It's defeating the purpose. So that's a big concern.
We could offer them tables at Shorefront Park.
David, one of the things we talked about today at administrative meeting, remember how at the Live After Fives, each of the restaurants had a cup, either by color, or can we talk to them to getting back to that for their takeout business, is that they use an identifying cup that identifies their place?
That makes perfect sense. We can certainly, you know, ask that to happen.
Yeah, speak to them, because it will save them some heartache, I think. I think that there's then that sense of a little bit more control.
And the other point we want to just be cautious with is, don't forget that you know, we want to do everything we can to try to support these businesses. We need to get them back up on their feet as fast as possible. As the mayor always says, you know, as goes downtown, as goes, you're better at saying it, but the, you know, we just have to be cautious, as we're not in phase 4, and those are large gatherings. I would just say, again, just we have to, the board has to maintain the discretion, and the mayor has to maintain the discretion on this, that it doesn't become a street festival, and then we all suffer the consequences of the governor's warning and concern that this now becomes an unsponsored, unofficial, you know, street festival, and that could have dire consequences, because SLA violations are going to get written to the premise that's nearest.
I think all you have to do is really kind of listen to Cuomo lately. I think he's getting ready to drop the hammer on some places, and unfortunately, we've been under the light, the shining light, and I would hate to see us be the one they come after. So,
Everybody's going to be watching.
I think that has to be really impressed. Are you having a restaurant committee meeting this week, David?
Yes, Thursday before this starts, there is a meeting with all the restaurants Thursday at 11. You know, certainly this will be an opportunity to enforce or you know, get out a message of anything you want them to do. I think they'll abide by as much as possible. I mean,
Don't play with your food.
Yeah, perfect, David. Yeah, I had gotten an email from your best friend, John Sarno, this weekend with a piece of, I don't know if it was an executive order that came down from the governor about restaurants having to control within 100 feet of their. Did you see that, David?
I did not. That's news. That is news to me. I didn't. I mean, but it only makes sense in you know, that maybe when these places that are offering takeout on like maybe certain hours, they're required to have a security guard like they normally do anyway on a Saturday. Maybe they need to start getting back to that. I mean, I'm picking up from this conversation that maybe Saturday night was a little bit of an issue. I haven't heard anything specific to me other than what this conversation is bringing up. And plus a couple of calls that have come to the chamber office, just overall concerns and, having something responsible at the door that really make sure people aren't lingering, people aren't opening their drinks that they're served and standing around. I think it's enforcement is really what it comes down to. And that's always seems to be the issue with some of this reopening is it's not always clear who has the enforcement and who should be doing the enforcement. But, having security guards on a Saturday night right now isn't such a bad idea, I think.
Typically, Cuomo's guidance, as he calls it, comes out with a whole set of rules and executive orders, but not any sense on how they're to be enforced and who's going to enforce and under whose direction it happens. And what the people's sense is that it's our problem, whether we like it or not. And
Can I just comment?
yeah,
The first level of enforcement is the restaurant.
yep.
I mean, they should be enforcing their own, what goes on there. So if the restaurant owner or whoever's there is the first line of defense on that. So, and then
Yeah,
beyond
100%.
that, what is it, Suffolk County Police Department? Is that the enforcement agency on
Second
this?
phone call.
Yeah.
But
But the
Dan,
restaurant should be responsible, show responsibility in this.
absolutely, absolutely. So just something we really need to concern ourselves with, because after all said and done, they're still going to come back and blame us. That's the
Just a
long and short of it.
quick
Huh?
comment, Paul. David, it's obviously, if they blow it Sunday, it's going to be gone, right? I mean, please emphasize how important it is that they take full responsibility for this thing. I mean, it's quite frankly, it's a little frightening. I mean, we've never done anything like this before. It could be a circus.
And Brian made the comment, it's this pent up energy that's out on the street now, and that people just want out of their homes, and they want to be out on the street. They want to be with friends. They want to be with people. But I think as we're seeing around the country, we have to be very cautious.
Totally agree, Tom. And that message has been carried. We'll reinforce it even more so. I think that's why Sunday was chosen, is the idea is hopefully that wouldn't be, less likely of a day where people would want to be out too late or cause more issues. But, I will enforce. And Jack, you make an excellent point. It's got to start with the owners and their staff, that they're trained properly and are, it is a weird position to be in because they have to make some unhappy customers, I guess. But, if they want to operate, that's kind of what they have to do. And we'll enforce that message. So I appreciate it. And, obviously, if this becomes a problem, obviously it stops. I don't see it continuing if a week or two into this, we find that this is not being handled properly, it has to be suspended. And, we're not going to get in the way
David,
of that.
just an aside to the whole thing about the pickups and the orders, and DoorDash and the rest of those others that do that. Let's think about the wares on east side and the west side.
I mean, one thing, when we close the street, when you think about it, on the west side from the tap room to West Avenue is empty. And from on the east side, from Fulton's Gate to Maple Avenue is empty. So I don't know if pickup points in those locations or those areas on either side is something. I know we kind of talked about a vague concept of this because not everybody has a back door. Like barbecue should be easy. They got a wonderful back door right to their kitchen that they could service people from the back door there, but not everybody has that. So I don't know if we want to use the street ends where there are no tables or, it's just going to be a closed street at that point if those could be designated areas where people have to bring the food and where people have to go to get the takeout. But I really leave that up to the village to tell us if that is workable or not.
Let's talk to Peter and you guys think about it also. Because I said, it's great to be able to cut it out For some of the businesses, that's a piece of their business, and we have to be cognizant of that.
All right. And just quickly, just a couple of things. Really, the only other thing I wanted to highlight with our chamber is, obviously Alive After 5, as we know it, isn't happening this year. But, we are trying to at least keep the Alive After 5 brand engaged in what's going on and active, since it is an important brand for our community. So we have created a virtual Alive After 5 that's taking place on Thursday, July the 2nd. The Patchogue Theater was gracious enough to allow us their stage to have a host of about 4 bands that will play throughout the night. That will be live stream on our Facebook and our website. The Blue Point Brewery is helping sponsor this and helping us provide some funding for some of the technical support. Better Man Distillery is created a virtual bar crawl specific to this that will do deliveries to those who sign up for it. And we'll have a virtual marketplace where we'll be directing people to go to do some online shopping. We anticipate a lot of flash sales of maybe some really extra special deals of 40% off or more on certain items throughout the night that will be pushing that as well. And we're looking forward to maybe continue this concept throughout the summer, knowing very unlikely we would ever have any kind of large gathering on Main Street, at least until next year. But with that being said, as we move forward, certainly now that outdoor dining and things are happening, the Live After 5 committee is wondering, as we move forward for a future one, the idea of creating a outdoor dining area on a Thursday night that was strictly, you have to buy the table, like maybe 40 or 50 tables. We're thinking in the parking lot behind the theater that they could actually have a screen that would show the action that's going on in the stage to a select people who purchase like $200 a table that would allow them to watch and have food and drink delivered to them at that time. It also could serve as a fundraiser for different opportunity for different needs in the community as well. So it's an idea we're talking about. It is something that the next virtual Live After 5, if we continue on a 2-week, every other week schedule, it would be Thursday, July the 16th, that we'd be looking to do something like this to add a little bit more to what this virtual Live After 5 concept would be. Knowing that the time frame and knowing, what I'm really asking for, I guess, from the village is that there would be an approval to use the parking lot space, with the idea that obviously, we'd have to check with the SLA, we'd have to check with the police. I mean, there was a lot of boxes we'd have to check to make it happen. But at least we want to know that maybe the space could be made available and the village would entertain that concept. So that was my other ask for tonight, if that was so possible.
The conversation we had today, David, I think so. Unless the board has a concern about it, we need to map out the wares, what we're going to do in terms of security. Again, the SLA position has always been you can only serve alcohol in these kind of circumstances outside your door, not across the street up the block. So
yeah. So again, the idea was everybody would have to be sitting down. They'd have to get food and drink. It would be reserved table, something that was reserved ahead of time. Beforehand, and it would be a short period of time. It wouldn't be for 4 hours.
No.
We'd probably obviously do it just for one sitting for maybe a 2-hour period that we would allow something like that, and may have it much more control. This would not be in a pen or anything alike in a Live After 5 pen situation whatsoever. It would really be trying to even create families to come down and enjoy more as a family than as a group of people. Like what you normally would see in a Live After 5.
David, I would make the first box you check the SLA, because Paul, you and I were on that call with the NICOM and the SLA attorneys, and they were very emphatic that you cannot deliver alcohol. You can deliver it on adjacent property, but you can't deliver it off premises. Very emphatic. So I would check on that.
Well, I mean, they are delivering off presents when they deliver it to the houses and stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of instead of delivering to a house, you're delivering to a table. I don't know how you get around, what the things are about that. But you're right. I mean, obviously, without the SLAs, if they said we can't do it, we can't do it. That would end it right there, obviously. But I know, we're getting into the summer months. These things are evolving quickly. I mean, even the virtual Live After 5 idea, when we first talked about it about a month ago, it sounded great. But now people are going out and they're starting to enjoy the outside. So the thought of people staying home to watch a virtual performance is less and less attractive now as we move forward to people being able to actually go out and enjoy certain things. So that's where we're coming in and trying to evolve with the evolving of the reopening phases, and that our event could still kind of evolve, still have a life, and keep it, current to what's happening. Because who knows? I mean, this might be the way we do a Live After 5 forever. We have no idea what next year would be. We may never see an Alive After 5 like we used to see them for many years, just because life has changed to that extent. Nobody knows. But I'm glad that we have a group of creative people that are working and are trying to come up with certain concepts, realizing that that brand and that concept means a lot to the community. And we want to kind of just stay with it. So again, I mean, if whatever the village would do tonight would be just allowing a space in the parking lot there to be used for it, understanding that all the necessary, official approvals would need to sign off on it for us to do it. So, and that's, I won't belabor the issue any more than that.
Any other questions for David on that?
Should we do a motion on his first request before he escapes?
For the
For
space?
the Sunday from 11.
Well,
I'll try to do it. I
Those
make
11
a motion that we close Main Street, as David has described, from 11 a.m. on Sunday to 8 p.m. on Sunday, allowing restaurants to serve on adjacent property to their restaurant from 12 o'clock till 7 p.m. That good
Motion.
enough?
Actually, you can do on East Main Street from Ocean to Maple, on West Main Street from Ocean to West. Make that simple.
I got a question. Are they going to use the parking lots for serving food?
No.
There's no plans to use the parking lots at all.
Okay.
The motion is second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And the second motion is to create space behind the theater, pending the approval of Suffolk County PD or Public Safety, the State Liquor Authority, and any other crazy state agency that may want to stop us.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All
in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay.
Good job, David.
Yeah, thank
So
you
did
very
David,
much.
did David just take control of the entire village? Paul, it sounds like David just took it.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
Control the entire village, I think.
David, I gotta set
If we have anything left, it's all David's now.
Well, yeah, I guess I could take the blame when everything, if it doesn't work, I'll definitely accept the blame then, for sure.
You don't want the blame if it blows up, David. You don't want the blame. It's really important that it goes Sunday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And use me as the conduit to make sure the right messages get out there. But, I thank you very much. You guys have been very forward thinking and very supportive as we get back around and hopefully get back to some sense of what life used to be like. So I thank you very much. I'm going to leave you guys for the rest of your meeting, and have a great evening. Thank you.
David, one other thing.
Sure.
Just if you would put out to your membership that Oak Street, that project is going full bore at this point in time, and they will work very closely with the chamber and the businesses to make sure access to those parking lots are available during the construction period.
I will get that word out. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Everybody have a great evening.
Because Deputy Mayor,
Hello, everybody.
I don't know are you the swimming pool guy or is Joe the swimming pool guy?
Joe's the swimming pool guy. I got rid of my pool years ago.
I don't know. You keep bringing me messages that are,
No, I know. I just would like to welcome Valerie too.
Yeah.
Her first official board meeting. I'd like to request approval to hold an amnesty program for parking tickets remaining open in the Village Justice Court. The program will run from July 1st to August 15th and will offer a 50% discount on all parking tickets that have accrued penalties and have remained unanswered at the recommendations of Village Justice Patricia Romeo. This is a very popular program that we have, and it really cleans up a lot of tickets on the list. And it's also good for people who've got tickets. 50% off could be significant if you've got a lot of tickets. So I encourage everybody who has a village ticket, even if it's a $25 ticket, to get involved in this program. It's a very good program. So that's a motion.
I'll second.
I save all my tickets for this, you know,
Okay.
discount.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
thank you very much. Trustee Keys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Val, to a official village board meeting. I don't know if, when I was sworn in December of '09, Paul hugged me and said, we're going to have fun. Don't let him try to sell that to you. Don't buy it if he does. But welcome. Good to have you aboard. Just one thing on the wish list, Mr. Mayor, so I'll do that first. I'm requesting approval of standard workday for Whitney Hilton, Director of Special Events motion.
This is for retirement purposes. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you. Just one little item of the plight of the pickle bullies. We're having a little trouble down at the tennis courts. So we'd like
I told you I didn't like pickleball. Nobody listened to me.
It's the pickle bullies. It's not the pickle ball. It's the pickle bullies. Brian, do we have to, if we want to make that strictly village residents and make like one resident per court, do we have to vote and officially codify that, or just a parks?
You probably have the ability as the director of Parks and Rec has the ability to control the parks, but if you wanted to pass something residents only while you've got, or what have you, while you've got the board here, you can certainly put that together.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to request approval to officially make the Ryder Avenue tennis courts residents only. And I don't know if we have to get this detailed, one resident per court.
Yes.
You know, if a resident comes in with his cousin or uncle, they can play on a court.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. And,
Brian, do we need to define any more than that? Brian?
No, village resident is a fine term.
Paul, I'd like to maybe, I'll call you tomorrow because I would, some other little things to discuss to monitor the issue we're having down there right now with some unruly adults who don't quite know how to behave. And so this is one of the reasons we want to make it residents only, but I expect that, well, this week may not be so bad because of the heat. We may not get too many players down there. But I would expect that unless we have somebody actually down there checking stickers and stuff, but we could talk about that. I don't think we have to discuss that here, actually.
So I have a question. It's one resident, and can they bring non-residents, or it's only residents?
Yeah, as long, I mean, my line is one resident per court. In other words, if, you come down and you bring in, a cousin who lives in East Patchogue and you want to play pickleball or tennis that day, why not? You have per court. So in other words, if 6 residents come down with a sticker or some sort of proof of residency, one of them would occupy each one of the courts. And, not going to hold it for 24 residents as long as one resident is occupying each court.
So Joe, it's resident and guest.
Yeah, I guess we could say that per court. As long as stick it to one resident per court.
Is there a time limit?
I don't want one resident to come with, if it's the Romeos or the Kriegers or the Pontiers, that one resident might come with 47 cousins, that live out of town and take over the whole place. I don't want that to happen either,
But
do you have a period of time they can play, or is it?
Yeah, I'm going to discuss that a little bit with Maria, like maybe to an hour and a half. So yeah, we would like to, that would be kind of depending on how many people come down there too. Obviously, if there's 5 or 6 people, you could stay all day. It becomes an issue a whole lot of people. And what we were observing is not so much the number of people, but people who are not observing social distancing, wearing obviously they don't while they're playing, but afterwards everybody congregating around the nets at the gates and stuff. No mask, no social distancing and stuff. And because the court is our property, I feel kind of responsible that we have to try to legislate that a little bit.
Okay.
So thank you, and that's all I have.
That's all you have, Joe? Joe? Trustee Felice?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, all. Val, welcome aboard, and congratulations on the position.
Thank you.
First, I would just like to, if Frank Ambrosio's out there listening, I would like to thank Frank. He put me privy to a storm drain that was in disrepair on 470 South Ocean Avenue. So I got Foreman Lazitas down there with a couple guys. They fixed it. They re-shored it up. They put new bolts in. So then, having seen that one, I asked Foreman Lazitas to go around. When he's doing his drive around, I mean, he's driving around through Patchogue all day long, every day. And I said, listen, if you see a couple other ones, so actually we have fixed about a half dozen by now of storm drains where the back part of it was actually like falling in. I don't know if maybe some bolts were never installed, or maybe they possibly rotted away, but that was the problem. So they had to install new bolts, reshore them to the box itself. So I'd just like to thank Frank for being astute and putting me privy to that. And so far we've fixed about 6 of them. So that's a good thing. At this point, I'd like to request approval to enter into the Eastern Suffolk BOCES Joint Municipal Cooperative Bidding Program for the year 2021, and that's for the school year. That's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'd also like to request approval for a change order to increase H2M Main Street sewer construction services, and that's in the amount of $9,700. That's a motion.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Okay.
And one last thing, I'd just like to request approval, and this is to hire Jack Scala, and that's for a summer laborer job, and that's at $15 per hour.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas, Mr. Berg. Mute. Unmute. You're muted, Tommy.
Thank
You
you.
never sound better, though.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers, and welcome to you, Val. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Devlin.
Good evening, everybody. It's very nice to see you all, and welcome, Valerie. I only have one thing. I just wanted to let people know that this month's planning board meeting is not going to be virtual, right? It's going to be live at the Patchogue Theater on the 30th. Is that still?
I think it's
Is
July
this still
7th.
July?
July
Oh, I'm
7th.
sorry. Okay. That's July 7th. Okay, I had the wrong date on my calendar. Okay. Well,
What time is that, actually? I'm sorry. What time? I knew it was July 7th. What time?
I think 7 o'clock.
It's
7
7
o'clock?
o'clock?
wait a minute. Wait. That's our village board meeting. I was talking about the planning board meeting.
Yeah, planning board, it's July 7th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Yeah. Planning board. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I had my calendar's all messed up. Well, that's all I have for this evening.
Well, Val, will you check that? Make sure everybody gets that,
Yeah.
the correct date with that. Trustee Brinkman.
Good evening, everybody, and I finally get to welcome Val as well, so welcome, Val. I had an exciting Zoom conference today with the owners of Paver Art, and that is the group that did our beautiful walkway paver circles, and they're actually using the Village of Patchogue for their national model, so that other municipalities and other groups that want to replicate this amazing walkway that we have done here in the Village of Patchogue, they'll be able to connect with us Joining me in the call was Marion Russo from the CDA and Beth Giacomo from Patchogue Arts Council. So we had a really fantastic conversation, and we shared a lot of our brainstorming ideas all the way back from the beginning when the mayor and I sat down in his office and thought about different cool projects that I could get involved in. So it was a really fantastic conversation, and another way for Patchogue to lead the way. So just wanted to share that with everyone. And then I have request approval to accept the full service retirement of Peter Sarich as Senior Building Inspector effective July 10th, 2020. Request approval to reappoint Peter Sarich as Senior Building Inspector effective July 11th, 2020 at a per diem rate of $450.
Motion,
That's my motion.
Second.
second. And we will have a discussion about that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And request approval to increase the grass cutting and yard maintenance fee to the following: lawn cutting and blowing of cut grass formerly $75 to $85, yard cleanup up to 3 hours formerly $300 to $350, administrative fee for lawn mowing formerly $50 to $75, and administrative fee for yard cleanup formerly $100 to $125. And that's a
Motion that the
Second.
cost, the straight cost on it is what we will be paying. Either internally we'll book, that will be paying because it gets charged back to if it's a bank or the person who owns the property owner. But if we need to bring in an outside contractor because we're shorthanded or whatever it may be, those are the costs that will be charged. So there was a motion, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
Mr. Mayor, we do have 2 attendees. Just to let you know, if any of them wishes to speak at this point, for the public portion, they need to let me know so that when you're ready to allow them, they'll be ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, he's ready. So if any of our attendees would like to speak, you can raise your hand now or type your message in, and I can also promote you to speak. So just let me know. Okay, not seeing any hand raises or any messages in our chat. All right, so Garrett Travers has indicated not. So thank you for joining us this evening to all of our guests. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm not quite sure what happened, but we never were able to get up on YouTube. But I did share this link, so I'm thankful that the Ambrosios and the Travers were able to join us. And I will post a recording of our meeting, which I did make on my computer. I always have a backup and a backup. I will post that recording on YouTube so that people will have the ability to watch our meeting afterwards.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Request approval to waive all building
Oh, that's right.
fees.
One other thing. Susan, do you see the request for the dialysis on your Novus?
I emailed her, so she might have not seen it.
You may
Okay.
not have.
Not a problem. If you'll just give me one more moment, I will open my email and make sure that I get that done.
Brookhaven Hospital, or what is it? Community Hospital is expanding their dialysis. I think, but probably another 25 to 30% in the other section, leaving a little bit of office space left, but primarily adding a number of other, they call them the pods for the dialysis.
All right, so I have another request. Request approval to waive all building fees for the dialysis center expansion.
The motion,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
Any other comments by the board? Tommy?
Motion to adjourn.
Brian, anything?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Second, all in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care.
Sue, thanks again. Lori, if you're around tomorrow, stop by.
Let me look at my calendar. What am I doing tomorrow? Yeah, I can make some time late morning, early afternoon.